Hey there, welcome to the pronunciation tutorial for tense and lax vowel sounds. My name is Megan with Your Native Professor, and today I'm going to be walking you through this tutorial step by step to help you master those difficult tense and lax vowel sounds. So, are you ready? Let's go.
I'm going to kick off this tutorial with a brief overview of some basic anatomy of the mouth and throat. I think it's extremely helpful to have a basic understanding of some of the articulatory structures of the mouth and throat, especially when talking about pronunciation. So let's start with the obvious first, the tongue. I'm going to be using this diagram along with my mouth model to demonstrate where some of these structures are located and how they're interacting with each other. Okay, so the tongue starts with the tongue tip, which is located right here. The tongue tip is used to produce the sounds t, d, l, and n. Just past the tongue tip is the tongue blade, right here. And the tongue blade is used to produce the sounds sh, ch, and z. Now I want you to imagine that there's a line dividing the tongue in half. This portion of the tongue is called the front and is used to create the y sound, whereas this portion of the tongue is called the back or the body and is used to pronounce sounds such as k, g, and ng. Farther back, past the back of the tongue, is the root, right here. And the root is where the tongue connects to the hyoid bone. The next structure we'll look at is called the alveolar ridge, which is located right here. And on my model, it's located here, directly behind the front upper teeth. The alveolar ridge is a ridge-like, bumpy structure, and it is used to produce sounds with the tongue tip and the tongue blade. If you run your tongue along the alveolar ridge, you'll be able to feel the bumpy surface. The next structure we're going to look at is called the palate. And the palate is just a fancy word for the roof of the mouth. Here's the palate. And the palate is divided into two sections, the hard palate and the soft palate. The hard palate is composed of bone, making it hard. And it extends pretty far back into the mouth. You can run your tongue along the roof of your mouth and notice when it goes from hard to soft. So at the very back of your mouth, you're at the soft palate. The hard palate is immobile, meaning it cannot move, and the soft palate can move. It lifts upward to allow food to pass through to the throat. The next structure we're going to talk about is the uvula, located here. It's the hanging projection in the back of your mouth that connects to the soft palate. And it's used to produce some uvular consonant sounds, so we will not be talking about it much in this tutorial. The next structure is the pharynx, which is the throat, right here. And the pharynx divides into two muscular tubes. One is the larynx, and one is the esophagus. We're going to be talking about the larynx. The larynx is also called the voice box. Here's the voice box, complete with vocal folds and the glottis, which are all very fundamental structures in sound production. And that's it for your anatomy overview. I'll see you in the first tutorial. Vowels I and E pronunciation tutorial. Starting with the lax or short vowel I, mouth positioning. The body of the tongue is centralized in the highest portion of the hard palate. The sides of the tongue are wide and pressed against the inside of the upper teeth. The back and front of the tongue are relaxed and in a neutral position in the mouth. The jaw is relaxed and neutral. The lips are relaxed and open. Eh, eh, eh. Example words: fish, kiss, chip. Tense or long vowel E mouth positioning. The tongue is positioned at the roof of the mouth, pressing forward against the alveolar ridge. The body of the tongue is wide, and the sides of the tongue touch the sides of the upper teeth. The back of the tongue is low and relaxed. The jaw is tense and somewhat closed. The lips are in a neutral position. E, E, E. If you are having trouble producing the long E sound, start with the short I sound and close your jaw a little bit. I, E, I, E, E. Example words for the long E sound are sheep, we, see, she. Number 1. Start by practicing the I and E isolated sounds. Pay attention to the differences in the mouth and tongue position. E, 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 I, 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 I. Practice this many times before moving on to number 2. Number 2. Practice these I and E sounds together, switching back and forth between the two. E, I, E, I, E, I, E, I. Practice this many times before moving on to number 3. Make sure that you are very comfortable moving between these two sounds. Number 3. Practice the vowel sound with a final consonant sound. Eep, ip, eat, it, eel, ill, eep, ip, een, in, each, itch, ease, is. Number 4. Practice the minimal pairs, listening closely to the differences in the vowel sounds as they appear in each word. Sheep, ship, sheet, shit, peel, pill, cheap, chip, seen, sin, peach, pitch, beat, bit. Number 5. Practice the following words. Sister, seen, kiss, keys, fish, feel, miss, meal, pick, peel. Number 6. Phrases. Sheet of paper, piece of advice, schedule the meeting, copy of the spreadsheet, speaking of. Number 7. Tongue twisters. I'm going to say these once slowly and then for a second time a little faster. I slit the sheet. The sheet I slit. And on the slitted sheet I sit. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? And the last one. She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure. And if she sells seashells on the seashore, then I'm sure she sells seashore shells. A little faster. She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure. And if she sells seashells on the seashore, then I'm sure she sells seashore shells. Excellent job! I'll see you in the next tutorial. We are now going to shift our attention to the a and a vowels. So let's start with the lax or short a vowel mouth position. Number 1. The back of the tongue is arching upward, touching the soft palate. Number 2. The front of the tongue is low in the mouth, and the tongue tip is touching the back of the bottom teeth. So the tongue is going to be arched, and the back of the tongue is touching that soft palate area back here. And the front of the tongue is touching the inside of the bottom teeth. Additionally, the body of the tongue is wide in the mouth as the sides of the tongue press against the inside of the upper teeth. So the sides of the tongue will be wide, pressing against the inside of the upper teeth, right here and here. The jaw is dropped and the lips are open so that the inside of the mouth is visible. The lips are pulling slightly up and back. So it's very important to keep in mind that you need to have a relaxed jaw throughout this sound. Number 1, practice the isolated ah sound. Ah, 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 ah. Some example words are cat, bat, bag. Number 2, practice the ah sound with a final consonant. At, ap, as, ac, am, an. Number 3, practice the ah sound in words. Bat, cat, fat, last, cap, trash, pack. Number 4, practice the ah sound followed by consonants m, n, and ng. So when the vowel ah is followed by consonants m and n, the vowel sound changes, sounding more like ah. Let me give you an example. Man, Dan. You hear the ah sound. When the ah vowel is followed by ng, the ah vowel sounds more like a. Range, change. Do you hear it? Let's read these words going across. Man, ma'am, mange, ran, ram, range, tan, tam, strange, fan, fam, fang, band, bam, bang, panic, Pam, pang, can, cam, change. Let's now turn our attention to the tense or long vowel A mouth position. The tense vowel A, like many other tense vowels, is a diphthong. This means that the vowel sound contains two distinct sounds, shifting from one to the other mid-syllable. This is called a glide. Tense vowels tend to err towards diphthongization because their sounds are produced in the extremities of the mouth, whereas their short vowel counterparts are produced more centrally in the middle of the mouth. Let's look at the mouth position below. So number 1, the top of the tongue pushes forward and up against the hard palate. The tongue tip touches the back of the bottom teeth, the jaw drops, and the lips spread wide. The lips are spread very wide for this sound. Position 2, the A sound moves into the I sound, as in bit. To do this, the jaw lifts, and the front part of the tongue curls towards the roof of the mouth. Okay, so let's just practice it 3 times here. A, A, A. If you're having difficulty producing this sound, make sure that your jaw is high and tense, and that your lips are spread wide, almost in a smile. So, number 1, practice the isolated A sound. A, 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 A. Number 2, practice the A sound with a final consonant. Ape, ache, eight, ace, aid, age. Number 3, practice the A sound in words. We're going to go from top to bottom. Able, aim, ache, agent, eight, age, rain, bake, make, same, attain, thanks, operate, okay, mediate, stay, day, hey. Number 4, practice A and A minimal pairs, paying close attention to the different positions of your tongue, mouth, and jaw. For this exercise, we're going to be going across. Pad, paid, rad, raid, brass, braise, Dan, Dane, can, cane, man, main, snack, snake, mat, mate, past, paste, rack, rake. Number 6, practice sentences with a and a. It's a challenge to translate from Spanish to Mandarin. Give me an example of bad management. I haven't had a chance to answer your email. Draft the patent for the hazardous gadget attachment. Retract the last chapter from the back of the manuscript. Number 7, tongue twisters. I'm going to be saying these twice, first slowly, and second a little faster. A slimy snake slithered down the sandy Sahara. A slimy snake slithered down the sandy Sahara. The fat cat had an uncanny way of catching rats. The fat cat had an uncanny way of catching rats. The agile, angry ape addled up the avenue. The agile, angry ape addled up the avenue. How'd you do? I'm sure you did just great. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. So you can do this as many times as you feel to make sure that you're pronouncing these sounds perfectly. Good luck in your pronunciation practice. I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.